A pleasant day to everyone. We are the representatives of the 7th group. I am Trisha Adamos, and together with my groupmate Diane De Leon, we will be presenting the topic assigned to us, which is Romanesque churches in Spain, Portugal, and Andorra. Let us start with Romanesque churches in Spain. The Romanesque art developed in the Hispanic Christian kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula in the 11th and 12th centuries. Its stylistic features are essentially common to the European Romanesque, although it developed particular characteristics in the different regions of the peninsula. There is no Romanesque art in the southern half of the peninsula because it remained under Muslim rule al-Andalus. The picture that you can see on the screen is the facade of Santiago de Compostela Cathedral in Spain. It embodies the Romanesque architectural style in all its features. As you can see, the cathedral is massive in size, and it is designed with round arches, columns, and decorative arcading. Santiago de Compostela Cathedral is one of the most important religious structures in the whole of Spain, particularly because it marks the end of the 790 kilometers that make up the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage route. Located in the region of Galicia in the northwest of Spain, it is a key attraction much visited by tourists and locals alike. This famous pilgrimage site also became a symbol in the Spanish Christian struggle against Islam. Destroyed by the Muslim at the end of the 10th century, it was completely rebuilt in the following century. The nave of the cathedral, with its characteristically Romanesque rounded arches, remains largely unchanged. During the early Middle Ages, Santiago de Compostela became one of the three great pilgrimage destinations of Christianity along with Jerusalem and Rome. According to legend, the town is the burial place of Saint James the Great. He is the patron saint of Spain, first Christian martyr, and one of the 12 apostles. It is said that the cathedral still holds a Roman architectural style in its features because of its rounded marble columns. It is built with what appears to be stonework and marble. It is constructed with various styles of vaulting in the ceiling depending on which cathedral you are in. Groin vaults in the aisle, barrel vaults high above the nave, and ribbed vaulting in other parts of the church. The church is shaped like a Latin cross and has three-aisled nave with a long transept. A transept is an area set crosswise to the nave in a cruciform building within the Romanesque and Gothic Christian church architectural traditions. Now let us move on to Romanesque churches in Portugal. Romanesque architecture first developed in Minho and Douro regions, spreading later southwards to Coimbra. It is in the rural areas of the northwest and center regions that Romanesque buildings are more concentrated, being more dense in the margins of rivers Douro and Mondego. The Benedictines and other religious orders ended up giving great impulse to Romanesque architecture in Portugal during whole 12th century. The picture that is being shown on the screen is the facade of Lisbon Cathedral in Portugal. It showcases the Romanesque architectural style in all its features. Lisbon Cathedral was the first completed building between 1147 and the first decades in the 13th century in late Romanesque style. At the time, the relics of Saint Vincent of Saragossa, patron saint of Lisbon, were brought to the cathedral from southern Portugal. This cathedral follows a Latin cross plan with three aisles, a transept, and a main chapel surrounded by a Gothic ambulatory. The church is connected with a cloister on the eastern side. The main facade of the cathedral looks like a fortress, with two towers flanking the entrance and crenellations over the walls. The last architectural influence in the development of the Lisbon Cathedral was Baroque. It all started with the sacristy being built during the 17th century. The main chapel of the cathedral was rebuilt with Rococo and Neoclassical styles.
Another example of Portuguese Romanesque architecture is the Porto Cathedral. The Porto Cathedral, located in the historical center of the city of Porto, is one of the city's oldest monuments and one of the most important Romanesque monuments in the country. This original building has suffered some alterations, but the general aspect of the building has remained a mix of Romanesque and Gothic. So, since it is one of the most important Romanesque monuments in their country, it has been declared as a national monument. And its construction began during 12th centuries, but throughout the years, ilang beses na siyang na-rebuilt and na-renovate. Kaya rin it has a mix of architectural styles, such as yung temple nila is in Baroque style, while its cloister and one of its chapel is in Gothic style, then its facades and nave is in Romanesque style. So the elements and characteristic of Porto Cathedral. As we can see here, it has a two-square tower, each supported with two buttresses and crowned with a cupola or a small dome. Its facades lacks decoration. It also shows a Baroque porch and a Gothic quill window. Its nave is rather narrow and is covered by barrel vaulting. It is flanked by two aisles with a lower vault. It has also a stone roof in the central aisle that is supported by flying buttresses. Isa rin po ito sa pinakaunang gumamit ng flying buttresses sa Portugal. And our last topic is about Andorra Romanesque churches. Andorran pre-Romanesque and Romanesque art have preserved their essence, their simplicity, and their beauty since the 11th and 12th centuries. The artistic manifestation of this architectural style in Andorra stand out for their sobriety, the reduced size of the buildings, and their perfect integration into the typical Andorran mountain landscapes. So it states here pre-Romanesque, meaning first Romanesque. Kaya much simpler yung design nila compared sa later designs. Kung yung makikita nating mga Romanesque churches ngayon is puro arches, colonnade, sa Andorra Romanesque churches, limited lang sila sa mga windows and door openings. Wala rin sila masyadong colonnades and ornamented ceilings. But the early adoption isn't the reason of that. The main reason is the poverty. Mahirap lang kasi yung lugar nila, kaya hindi nila kayang mag-build ng complex and large structures. But despite of that, they have more than 40 Romanesque churches and monuments. The churches po kasi sa kanila, hindi lang siya as a worship place. It also acts as a social gathering and community. Example of Andorra Romanesque Church is the Les Bons Historical Complex. Situated on a rocky hill, looking over the village of Encamp, Les Bons Historical Complex originally dates back to medieval times. It comprises the Romanesque Church of St. Roma, two watchtowers, a defense tower, and a moat-type structure. Inside the church, you can see reproductions of important Romanesque paintings by the master of Santa Coloma. The complex is a historic building that is located at Les Bons, and it includes the Church of St. Roma of the 12th century. So as we can see here at the exterior of Les Bons Historical Complex, wala siya masyadong arch and colonnades. It's just simple complex with small openings and doors. Now let's talk about its characteristics. So its interior has a rectangular nave covered in a barrel vault and a modern porch. And also, its decorative elements lang po is the dogtooth ornamentation and Lombard arches. So, When we say dogtooth ornamentation, madalas po itong makita sa mga medieval buildings. It is a molding consisting of a series of four-cornered stairs rising to a point, while Lombard is a blind arcades. So, the church also has 16th century mural painting representing a Christ in majesty. As we can see here, it has a murals as well as a small circular altarpiece at the center. Lastly is the San Joan de Caceres Church. Located in the village of Canillo, it dates back to the 11th and 12th centuries. Its style is typical of Andorran Romanesque churches, complete with a rectangular bell tower, wooden roof, and semicircular apse. Inside are some beautiful examples of Romanesque murals as well as a 16th century altarpiece with Italian and German influences. So, yung exterior po nito ay simple lang. But its interior, it has a remains of a stucco Romanesque majesty from the 12th century na pinalilibutan ng murals. The murals po, it predicts crucifixion and the life of Saint John. Saint John is the author of the Apocalypse and the patron saint of the church. So, the influences of San Joan de Caceres Church is the Romanesque churches in Andorra, that it typically composed of rectangular nave with wooden roof, semicircular apse, and Lombardian style bell tower as we can see in the photo. And that's all for our report. Thank you so much for listening.